Ben 10 and Teen Titans, it's a little different because while they did take advantage of the universe of their franchise, they did it in a way that made the characters stray too far. Different reasons. Some, because of their crappy animation, others, because of the pointless plots of the episodes, and still others, because they ruin iconic characters. But there are also others that, just for the simple fact of existing, are hated to death. I'm not kidding. There are people who have probably never seen an episode of Thundercats roar in their life, but they still hate it to death. And look, I'm not defending
I can't say anything about Thundercats. I don't remember watching it at all. I really don't remember watching it.
Thundercats from Timo. Any decent person with good taste will never watch an episode of this crap. The truth is that all the hate is more than deserved, but be careful. Thundercats is not the only series that is hated to death. There are too many. And that's precisely what we're going to talk about today. Series that caused collective plots that made more than one child prefer to stop watching that crap and instead start studying. So let's take a look at the most hated cartoons on Cartoon Network.
Watch it again. So
first place goes to Thundercat Roar because I already said it in the intro. So let's get this over with. Thundercat Roller was a reboot of Thundercats that premiered in 2020, and from the first minute that trailers for the series were shown, it was completely trashed by everyone, by critics,
so you're saying it was the
by
worst
your 10-year-old cousin,
cartoon
because even from the animation you could see that
ever,
this had nothing to do with what Thundercats were. The character designs, although I wouldn't say they were ugly, you'll see later which ones were ugly, took away all the epicness that the original Thundercats had. But it wasn't just
I have seen the original Thundercat, but if you talking about like the cartoon version, then no, I didn't see like the cartoon version of it.
Matter of the designs. When the show finally premiered, we realized that it was a kind of attempt at comedy, and bad comedy at that. But what can't be
of the cartoon version,
it's
like
John,
the words like
Lord of
what they did with
They've
Teen
shown
Titans
me
Go.
that Thundercat
The
Roar
Teen
is a
Titans Go
worthy
and Thundercat
successor.
got
and anyone who says otherwise has a
worst
poopy mouth with poopy opinions.
Jeez. Thanks for the unsolicited support. Network. Original me, you're welcome. It's time to give the audience what they really want. Thunder, thunder, thunder. It's no secret that this series only came about because Cartoon Network saw that Teen Titans was a hit and wanted to repeat the formula. But even Teen Titans Go.
Even Teen Titans Go horrible. It didn't show the emotional and the upset that Teen Titans got. When y'all left Teen Titans on a cliffhanger, y'all made everybody pissed. Y'all had Teen Titans on the peak, and then y'all end up making it worse.
Handled humor much better than this series. They at least had one or two good episodes and some parodies that worked, but Thundercats Roar had nothing. The only positive things that could be rescued were the Latin American dubbing, which was very good, and the animation, which was okay. But the truth is that other than that, it was a pretty empty series. To give you an idea, the 1985 Thundercats had a tragic plot very much in the style of the 80s with heroes who were somewhat flat-footed and super naive. But at least they were brave because of their code of honor, which was also their message. Justice, honor, truth, and loyalty. The 2011 Thundercats also had a very good plot. Yes, it was a failure due to the oversaturated episodes, and yes, the characters were flatter than the originals, but at least they kept a bit of that code of honor. But Thundercats Roar had nothing. They completely forgot the code they were supposed to have, and it seemed like the characters were in a contest to tell the dumbest joke. Maybe if the series hadn't wanted to hang on the Thundercats name to be successful and had used another name and...
If they didn't hold on to the Thundercat name and the success Thundercat had, then Thundercat probably would be 10 times better than what it is.
Other characters, it would have sucked too, but at least it didn't tarnish the Thundercats name. But anyway, let's move on to the next spot. This next spot is dedicated to all the reboots, well, almost all of them. Teen Titans Go, Supergirls, Ben 10 or Total Drama Kindergarten are examples of reboots that were trashed by fans. And why, you may ask? Because Cartoon Network thought they could release any piece of crap, but disguise it using characters from a popular franchise and that the fans of that franchise would automatically love it. Something that obviously didn't happen, but let's take it one series at a time. Total Drama Kindergarten. It was a reboot of Total Drama. As you can imagine, also
network
received a lot of
episode
hate.
at
In
a
this
time.
case, I completely understand it, because what's the point of making a series about the...
Hey, yeah. What's the point of making a base series of Total Drama World Island and then to end off a big huge season to go on and have them as kids in a preschool, aka actually a kindergarten? Like, I hate when shows do that. I hate when shows go with a season and they end it all with something different that don't make no sense to even combine two.
Total drama contestants going to kindergarten and being taken care of by the chef, I mean, the same, who gave them bull testicles for breakfast suddenly became the kindest man in the world. Nobody believes it.
Like,
also, in this
that's
case,
confused. Like,
why did they
he
use the
became
total
the
drama
worst
characters?
person,
What's the
the
point?
worst
At no
chef.
time do they take advantage of the
Now
entire
he
legacy of
become
total
the
drama
most
beyond the
kindest
character
person?
designs. Well, they could have made
No.
original characters and the series would have been completely the same. They only used the name Total Drama to give the series a higher rating, because other than that, the series has nothing to do with the lore of the original. In the case
really
of the Supergirls reboot, Ben 10 and Teen Titans, it's a little different because while they did take advantage of the universe of their franchise, they did it in a way that made the characters stray too far from who they originally were. And that's precisely the big problem with reboots. If you change the characters too much, people are going to get upset, and that makes perfect sense. Why would you take a well-known and beloved franchise if you were going to do something completely different from what that franchise...
Yeah, it like, why would you take the worst cartoon ever and then try to do something way different than what it was? But to change what made it perfect, it messed up.
franchise represents. It's like buying the rights to Dragon Ball and instead of Goku being a chatty and a warrior, you were a TikToker. I mean, why bother? With Supergirls, they tried to make something cooler and more modern, and in the process they forgot that these girls were supposed to be saving the world. And with Ben 10, something similar happened. They brought back Ben by a ski toilet fan.
Time to be heroes. From space, something very special came to him.
Yes, he'll solve any case. Think of evil everywhere. Fear will never stop him. And of the ruffians in. Obviously the fans are going to be angry because you're not just changing the design or the tone, you're changing the essence of the characters, and when you do that you're no longer continuing with the franchise. You're using their ports to make a new show and expecting nostalgia to do all the work. But nostalgia doesn't work miracles, and even less when the script is weak and the characters don't feel like themselves anymore. That's why reboots are so hated. And since we're talking about completely changing the characters, we have...
They actually did completely change this one. Now, I'm not gonna say what the name is. He gonna already say it for you.
To talk about getting in the mood for Scooby, because yes, Cartoon Network also tried to modernize Scooby and his gang, and they did it in the weirdest way possible. Get Scooby was a series that came out back in 2015 and tried to give a more fun twist to the franchise by completely changing the animation style for one that looked like it was taken from the AliExpress version of Family Guy. And you know, it's a style that you could easily see in a typical adult Netflix series. But the animation wasn't the worst. The main problem was the fact that they had taken the characters and turned them into a satire of themselves. Fred was no longer the brave and courageous leader, but now he was simply an idiot. Daphne, well, what can I say? Daphne's personality could be summed up as I'm crazy, I'm weird, look how random I am. Shaggy and Scooby were the same, but even more cowardly, and Velma, well, she was decent. And once again the same pattern repeats itself. If you change the characters so much, people stop recognizing them. And yes, they tried to do something different, but different doesn't always mean good. And having said all that, I have to say that I love the series. I know I just said that they took away all the personality from the characters, but the humor was very good.
Hold on, didn't you just say you hate it? Didn't you say it was the worst? Then why you saying, oh, I love it? I confused what you mean by that.
At least for me. I think the problem with this series was that it came out right after Scooby-Doo, a series that had taken the franchise to another level with story, development, real mystery, and memorable villains. And then this came out. Get into the mood.
Look, the new Scooby-Doo came out after the big franchise, so that why cartoon taking it like a failure that shocked fans to a point where it made it feel like it should have been like the hair or worse cartoon.
Scooby-Doo was like carts scissoring the network. Well, we already made a good series. Now it's time to, on everything we built. And yes, I understand that the intention was to make something lighter, more comedic, more to pass the time, but the contrast was very strong. The humor was good if you like that type of absurd, random, and nonsensical comedy, but it wasn't what the public expected from Scooby-Doo. And that's the problem. If you're going to change the formula, at least don't sell it as if it were the same as before.
If you want to change the formula,
why are you going to use Scooby-Doo and his gang if you're going to do something that has nothing to do with Scooby-Doo? They could have made another series with similar characters and that's it. They didn't have to hang on the Scooby name for people to watch it. And when they saw it, it was too late. They were already traumatized. Although I liked it and it made me laugh because there are some really shitty episodes, I totally understand why it was so hated. It changed the franchise too much and came out at a bad time.
Like, when you sit there and think,
Uncle Grandpa is another very hated series. And before you get mad, I know that today is considered a series ahead of its time.
Hey, before you get mad at Uncle Grandpa with those shows, it wasn't bad. It's just, it was, but you can get the concept of it.
And is loved by everyone. But when it first came out, it was super hated and rightfully so. Because if you watched the Cartoon Network trailers in 2013 and a guy with a potbelly, mustache, suspenders, and a loud mouth came up yelling, "Good morning," while a pizza with glasses flew around, it was normal to think that television had hit rock bottom. Uncle Grandpa was called a pointless, absurd, and very annoying series, but I partly understand the rejection. We came from a time when Cartoon Network had things like Regular Show, Adventure Time, Mysteries, and suddenly this came out.
A time where Cartoon had the ordinary Scooby-Doo, the Teen Titans, Adventure Time, Regular Show. We came up growing with good behind shows. Now it comes to a point where now Cartoon Network rearranging it and taking away our good shows and putting in new shows that are rebooted from our good show to something that don't make no sense.
A show with a talking dinosaur, a smug pizza, and a man with a dimensional belly button who shouted phrases like, "Good morning."
Uncle Grandpa, but what happened to you? Uncle G, but what happened to you? Uncle G, but what happened to you? Uncle G. I repeat, but what happened to you? Quote.
The story was non-existent, the sense even less, the humor surreal, but over time, Uncle Grandpa began to gain fans, so many that it is now considered a series ahead of its time. All the people who used to say, "This old man is," now they say things like, "You don't understand him. It's absurd humor, a satire of the modern capitalist system." I mean, yes, the humor in the series was completely random, exaggerated, and sometimes bordered on annoying. But that's precisely what made it unique. And if we're being fair, the animation was pretty good, fluid, full of colors, with stale but well-crafted designs. Uncle Grandpa even won an Emmy. What's this? And if you're wondering if he deserved the hate or not, well, the truth is I don't know. You know I'm not the biggest fan of the old guy.
And for one, I like the show, but I'm not as big a fan on Uncle Grandpa. Uncle Grandpa like a show where if it pop up on Cartoon Network, I'm watching it, but I'm not going to say, "Oh, let me put on Cartoon on Uncle Grandpa." Or when I search on YouTube and want to watch on Cartoon Network, I'm not just going to search up, "Oh, Uncle Grandpa," and that'll be a show I watch. Yeah.
I'll just say that his target audience is very, very, very specific. I know I only talked about 4 cases, but I think they're the only cases of hated cartoons on Cartoon Network. I know there's the annoying orange one from Problem Solvers and Secret Mountain Fort Bodrio, but the truth is that nobody hates them because nobody remembers them to begin with. They're irrelevant. And one last thing before we go. Do you realize that all the series that did a crossover with the Titans went to Thundercat Roar, the Supergirls, Scooby-Doo, the DC Universe? Anyone who gets close is destined to fail.
No, he's right. He's saying that any show that get close to the Teen Titan goal is destined to fail. Like, look, Thundercat, Uncle Grandpa, Powerpuff Girl, right? Any show that collab with the Teen Titan goal is destined to just flunk and get so much backlash. Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't realize why a lot of these shows get backlash.